Welcome to the final little wrap up of Regiment on the Run. If we could get a wide shot of this massive base that has been mysteriously constructed through possibly mold earth means,
I
then
just foresee a lot of the guys complaining that the rocks are pixelated,
well, tough
and
shit.
it's like, "Quit your bitching."
They're not paying for my fucking Roll20 subscription. I only have 10 megabytes. Anyway, so let us begin with the wonderful Ert, Terry, and Zann in the aftermath of their battle about a week and a half later. So, Zann, does it feel like being a millionaire?
Zan is just rolling in the dough. He takes baths with gold in the water. His bathtub is made out of relatively thin gold plating,
Look,
but it's gold lined.
you had a pile of gold and you had shape metal,
Yeah, I
and
mean
you're a glass blower.
we be making all sorts of fun gold stuff. We be living the life.
You do indeed.
And Waffle is now his personal chef, making him everything he wants to eat because he didn't realize Waffle was such a talented cook.
Troll chef.
Hey, it works, man.
It's more likely than you think.
Ert has not been having a fun week and a half
No, he's
because
been
the
trying.
crystals were full,
Yes.
and then we killed an entire army.
Yeah,
And
there.
then Terry made a treaty to help make the crystal stable again.
And that's been working, you know. There's been progress, but not always as fast as it would have liked. And so the crystals have grown rather a lot, but thankfully there are some people who are willing to help you guys out. So, it's not all bad. Meanwhile, Zand, I take it that you are lounging comfortably.
Absolutely.
Just ride Waffle around.
Well, no, Waffle's my chef. I ride Arnold around now.
Oh, yeah. Arnold doesn't mind. He's got plenty of strength.
Okay, there's Zand living his life.
Wait, the little coconut drink is too far away for him to reach. There it is.
I have Waffle nearby, and we need a grill for Waffle.
Oh, I can put that up. I just imagine like Zen getting asked about whether other people can have, waffle made meals, and Zen just says no.
The CRT can.
Fair enough.
Sometimes Arnold can't. It depends on the day, but everyone else can.
So, Ert
Well,
really feels you guys are not taking this seriously.
Ert is correct.
I mean, Zan is not basically retired. He just is retired at this point.
Like, does Zan understand how many runes of Fireball Ert has made at this point?
Oh, Terry's taking it seriously, just not in the way that Ert wants.
Then how are you taking it seriously?
Because now we have a ton of runes. Those are definitely going into storage. The crystals, Terry is looking into artificers to help make those crystals stable. Like, no
Oh,
matter how much is actually put into it, like the lovely orb.
yeah, speaking of that orb, say hello to Orbert, affectionately named by Ian Lortek, who has taken possessive interest in the thing.
Orb.
Orb. Orbert.
Orbert.
Okay.
So, in other news,
Oh yeah. So Terry's looking into stabilizing things without having to expend all of the magic inside, and I'm sure Ert is not happy about that.
Ert does not give a shit at this point. You guys have no idea how bad this can get.
well, there are a couple of interesting things that are still yet to be addressed. For example, Sapphire Scale actually has been helping out with Terry's and Kethlin's personal project, and now Kethlin's mother, her hag mother, is up and about again. And as a bonus, Uncle is paying a visit.
Hey, it's Terry's dad. I mean, uncle.
See, this is nice. Your whole family will be within the blast radius, so everyone will die together.
Terry's just gonna ignore Ert
God hasn't even
and
had enough practice on that.
welcome his uncle to the founding of this whole new town. Of course, Terry does not want to run it. Terry's going to find a suitable leader.
Well, have we teleported in all of Terry's people, more or less?
Um, that is probably something that a lot of the energy from the crystals would actually be going towards because hey, there's a whole shit bunch of magic energy. If you want to teleport people out to safety, Terry has the prime opportunity.
Yep, and if I remember right, in the last episode, Ert was going to reverse engineer that giant teleportation spell.
Indeed.
Yep, I believe that the spell has just been on for the last few weeks, and Ert used to bother turning it off, and now he doesn't.
Indeed. And Uncle has been pleased as punch about the entire situation because not only has his protege done excellently, but Uncle is now in a position to do a little bit of wheeling and dealing. After all, if Terry doesn't want to be in charge, there are still other options. And who better to trust than a member of your family, right?
Terry's just like, oh, trust me, don't worry. I already have some candidates in mind to take over. Of course, all close personal friends of mine.
Indeed. Uncle gives a smile and says, I hope that you'll show suitable consideration for some of your closer friends.
That's a little nepotism.
Terry, you are aware, Uncle is talking very, around the issue, but he really, really wants some of Waffle's cooking.
Unfortunately, that's gonna be something Uncle has to take up with Zann.
But he's outside of the family.
Zan's just sitting back. Hmm. What a shame.
Ert
Hey,
grabs the Cobalt Dracolich.
Uh,
It's like, "You've got to help."
Sapphire Scale says that she has been helping and she'll do a little bit more. She'll go examine the crystals again and bleed off the energy again. But honestly, you don't need to keep channeling them into fireball runes.
We've still been teleporting like half of the empire, haven't we?
Ert just boggles at this guy and is like, "You know what? Fuck you all. No more runes.
Then what is your plan?
You're all gonna die. I'm out of here."
Sapphire Scale just shrugs and gets to handling Katie on her own. Anywho, so at this point, there is a delegation from a particular organization. At this point, let us say hello to our guest member for this particular scenario. Say hi, Ellie.
Hello.
Hi, Ellie.
This is Ellie, and she is playing Ellie Dawnblade. You guys remember Ellie Dawnblade, right?
Yeah.
Sounds like an asshole patrol member, right?
There was a cat involved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The one that Terry actually is on good terms with.
Indeed.
I think Zan is relatively on good terms with him as well.
Yeah, but there are a few issues to handle at present. So, Ellie, you are here with your cousin Emrys and your faithful assistant Alexander. You're all very, you know, vowely. You all have very emphatic names. Ellie, Emrys, and Alexander.
This is true. We all have lots of syllables.
So, Ellie, you are from the patrol, and you have been getting a lot of reports about weird shit happening around here. And yeah, it is all 100% true. They are doing weird crystal magic stuff. They are handing out fireball runes to anyone who asks, including people who don't ask. And there is a sign at the front of this clearly brand new castle saying free fireball runes. The free has been crossed out and replaced with a small amount of gold.
That was Zan that did that.
Exactly.
There's a small plaque next to the castle door entrance that says all operations within this castle are OSHA compliant.
So, Ellie.
Including free fireball runes, I assume.
Oh, yes.
They're not free anymore. You had to make a profit, you know?
Once free.
So, Ellie, you are approaching, and you are taking your little entourage along with you. What kind of attitude do you take when you are approaching this big old castle?
Does Ellie not know that this is Terry and company?
Oh, she does.
Okay.
She's been monitoring this whole business for a long time through her familiar.
You should know that her player doesn't know everything that's gone on, but I've gotten a brief rundown on what the characters that are involved right now.
Of course.
Indeed. So, Ellie, how do you approach this writhing ball of chaos and possible, Armageddon.
Well, shouldn't the scouts have picked him up? What's the CRT doing? Slackers.
The
I'm
CRT.
surprised we were giving them out because I was assuming Terry was just hoarding all of the fireball runes for the guard.
Uh,
The large castle guard group that we need to help,
Well, they're fully
this
equipped. They
castle.
have like
Bert
a full
has
pillar.
crafted over 13,000 runes of fireball.
That's a lot.
Some of them were flawed.
He hasn't slept in over a week.
It's true.
That is also a lot.
A lot of people have been working very hard. So, Ellie, you are approaching with your patrol delegation. You may go ahead and move your tokens if you so please.
Alright.
How do you approach this big old castle?
Well, first I have to take a deep breath because this is basically going to be about as chaotic as a bull running into a factory that exclusively makes fireworks and tiny glass unicorn figurines.
Zann has some tiny glass unicorn figurines if you would like one.
Inert has some giant crystallized Zann figurines.
Is that why there's giant crystals everywhere?
Inert thought that would burn up energy. It did not.
Xana's been getting really good at glass blowing, despite having no lips.
It's true. He just managed to convince Ert to make a gust of wind rune, and he's just been using it
No,
ever
I'm
since.
Aarakocra. I have gust of wind inherently. That's part of my species.
Yes, but you can only use it a limited number of times per day.
Yeah, but I'm just really good at it, okay?
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough.
I just always imagined that there was a special glass blowing apparatus that just fit over the whole beak.
It's like a gas mask.
Well, in any case, Ellie, you are approaching this giant ball of chaos along with your entourage. You are approaching on the drawbridge, and as you approach and get into the actual area of the castle, up by the main gate, you hear some goblinoid voices, and one of which says, "Someone just crossed the bridge. I think someone just crossed the bridge."
I love those little goblins.
I'm assuming none of them are actually trying to stop me.
One of them awkwardly climbs out of a clearly defensive hole and just flops on his face, crawls upright, and says, "Halt! You are crossing into name yet to be established territory."
So this isn't the town of fireballs for gold each. I'm sorry, the heap of fireball for gold each.
No, no, that is just sign. I still think that we should be selling them for more. Anyway,
I love how
welcome
the goblin has gone from goblin voice to troll voice.
to Orc Voice. Don't worry about it. I'm just really bad at voices. Anywho, welcome to town has yet to be named. What are your intentions?
Uh, well, for starters, I've been asked to investigate because starts gesturing at anything vaguely chaotic in the area.
You can probably see a beam of light shooting into the sky as Sapphire Scale tries to siphon more power from Katie.
Right. I have been asked by a very large paramilitary organization that is the closest thing to a governing body this part of the continent has to investigate gestures at the gigantic beam of light. That.
Then you probably want to talk to bosses. Here, I guide you in. Hey, can we get the gate lowered? And one of the goblins says, "The gate's already lowered. No, the gate, not the drawbridge." Oh, right, that one. Okay.
If you lower the gate, doesn't that close it?
Um, they fiddle
Our
around with
gates
it.
go down into the earth instead of up.
It's the more dwarvish way.
I mean,
Understood.
when you're using mold earth for everything,
Yeah, makes sense. Checks out.
So, the gate is lowered, only to discover that there's a secondary gate that cannot be lowered, it has to be raised. And so Ellie and her entourage are allowed in. Emerus just looking around like, what the hell is going on here?
The first thing they see is off to their right is a soldier playing fetch with a bahir.
It's true.
Has anybody attempted to convince me it's Aurora Borealis yet?
We're not doing the steamed hams. Not this time. All right, Ellie. So you enter into this courtyard and you find that there is quite a bit of bedlam. There is a small contingent of people who appear to be lounging on beach chairs and eating snacks. There's an army doing drills, a soldier playing fetch with a fakir, some people talking to a massive orb, giant beams of light shooting from two separate crystals, and what looks like a family reunion off in the corner. There is no sense of who is in charge here. There is no sense of leadership or organization. It is just absolute bedlam.
But you can at least recognize a few people.
Indeed. Because in universe, you have to actually talk to some of these folks before. Specifically, you have talked to Terry, Ert, and Zann, and you would specifically recognize Terry over in his little group of people talking about things.
Well, might as well start moving over there.
All right. And so, as you start to scoot over,
Around the turtle, yes.
Ellie, as you scoot over, you spot a particular character who you may recognize. The Patrol is one of the premier organization that caters to dragons and tries to keep them alive. And there's a particular character here, Dracolich Sapphire Scale. She apparently decided that being reliant on the Patrol was too big of a hassle, and so she transferred her consciousness into a new body. She claims that she is a Dracolich. She is actually just a very capable, intelligent kobold at this point.
All right.
And she is on the patrol's iffy list because she has been doing a little bit of hinky shit, and now here she is playing around with more magic energy than the patrol has seen in literal centuries. So, no cause for alarm at all.
If you don't decide to talk to someone really fast, it's going to be Bubbles.
Which one's Bubbles again?
You haven't met Bubbles yet.
Bubbles is the kobold that loves people. She's the welcoming committee.
She's the one who's been handing out fireball runes.
Snowball.
As interesting as that is, I feel like I'm going to have to ask Bubbles to walk and talk with me while we get to the leaders.
So, I take it, Ellie, that you are heading directly over to Terry.
Yes.
Okay.
Winnie, please follow.
She's a cat. She does not do well with directions. So, Terry, you notice that the authorities seem to have arrived, and they are looking baffled and confused.
Terry will stop whatever Uncle was saying mid-sentence with just Miss Dawnblade, it's a pleasure to see you.
All right. Githa steps out of the way, allowing Terry a clear sight line. Terry, you step forward and once again meet Ellie Dawnblade. And Ellie Dawnblade, you are looking into Terry's wide, pleased smile and remembering the reports of a whole bunch of people who were teleported over from the Empire of Enikos and then mysteriously died with no witnesses. That definitely does not have any bearing on how you treat or interact with Terry. Totally not.
Of course not, because it's never been proven that he did it.
Hi, Terry. The patrol's a bit concerned with a few things here. And also, I can't help but notice that Earth appears to have disappeared off the face of the Earth from where they were standing a few seconds ago.
Just Terry, Ert is not liking the way we're handling the crystal situation right now. I'm sure you're here because of that, he points as a little beam of light shines up in the air again.
That and the fireballs, yes.
Yes, that's because Ert believes that the best way to siphon off all of this energy is to keep making runes, and he keeps making runes of fireball because it's the strongest spell he knows.
He was making runes of haste, but then a lot of them got together and time started acting really weird, and we had to move the castle over a few spots.
Is that why it's so warm here?
Just a little.
No, that's the fireball runes. There are over 13,000 of them here.
As you're saying that, Zan is just laid back in his chair and fires off a fireball rune into the sky for his own fireworks amusement.
Raw America!
Terry
That's a
just
Smite reference.
It's a great one, though.
and Terry like, we're doing our best to try and handle the situation, siphon off what magic we can to make the crystals stable again. I've actually created a treaty with quite a few of the more necromantic variety to help us with such a cause.
Wait, did we just refill the spell slots of every high-level evil mage in Vigus? Terry?
Hopefully, just with spells of speak with dead.
So far, it's just the ones who were smart enough to stay alive and smart enough know not to fuck with things to get the patrol on their asses, like Draco Lich or the Revenant that decided to fuck off, or the other one that decided to run away.
Yeah, I would add that to the list, Ellie,
Mhm.
right next to the giant proliferation of fireball runes.
Don't worry, the treaty is very much intact, ironclad, fey written. There's not much they can do with that magic.
How reassured is Ellie by that particular thing?
I'm actually making a list. Crystals,
Honestly, can only be really used for infrastructure.
proliferation of exploding fire-based stones randomly into the sky, where it will almost certainly fall on some unsuspecting, suspecting.
As you're writing, Terry is just you're gonna keep talking of just he doesn't care. He 100% doesn't care that you're writing up a report. Just in the meantime, while the crystals are being stabilized, we're trying to figure out exactly what to do with the runes. I've been trying to stop Bubbles at every turn from just giving them away.
Bubbles just looks at you with panic. Ert says if we get more in one spot, they'll explode. And he's right. They did.
It's and we're going to stop making them so we can deal with what we have.
Ert says if he stops making them, we're all gonna die. Also, if he sleeps.
Yeah, Ert says he's given up on us.
Oh, good.
I like how even Bubbles is tired of Ert.
Like, Bubbles is just like, oh, good. She does not have to push runes anymore.
Is Ert currently screaming, "We are gonna die" next to me?
We are not looking at that, so I don't know.
Okay.
And just Terry just going to look to Ellie and her entourage and just if you have any suggestions in helping us stabilize the crystals in a much less chaotic manner, that'd be greatly appreciated. Sapphire Scale there has only been able to do so much.
Well, has the creation of the fireball spells actually lowered the amount of crystal growth?
Has it? Numbers?
It has, but it's clear that it's not doing quite enough.
And no one is keeping track of how much Ert has been doing.
That's because nobody gives a shit.
Why not?
It's like you have a guy who is very obviously smuggling enriched uranium out of the place and just hucking it off the side of the road. And you're like, it's not our problem.
Zan's
Just
not magically inclined enough to be that worried about it.
Terry's been trying to keep Ert like in check when it comes to the crystals, but at the same time, he's just mostly been trying to workshop with all the magic users how to, uh, use the magic inside without causing too much chaos. So that would be his uncle, Kethlin, um,
And now
Kethlin's
get the
mother. Yes, Githa, who doesn't have a name tag.
ah, there we go. All right.
So at this point, I'm tempted that, you know what, I'll send that in DMs.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Despite having quote unquote no leadership, Terry is currently at the mantle just trying to get things to calm the fuck down.
I am awaiting the DM. It will just be a moment, it seems.
And we wait while
Yes.
Ert keeps doodling. Is that just a pile of fireball runes?
Yes.
All right. So I have responded
Hmm.
to Ellie, but also I do find it funny just watching Ellie try and fail to figure out what the fuck. Because honestly, that's justified in every instance.
Yeah, this was a thing. I have been notified of in-character knowledge, however.
So
So how are you with teleportation?
And just Terry. I did try to get Ert to set up some reverse engineering on a teleport spell that we had come across. I would like to use it to bring my family and my people here.
How does that sound to Ellie?
That sounds like we have common interests.
Emrys
Well,
raises her eyebrows and says, Ellie, what are you thinking?
Ellie whispers about something to us. Yes.
Emrys, her eyes go a bit wide, and she gives a nod, and she says, do you want me to report in right away? I believe I can let the appropriate people know.
I think that would be a good idea.
Emrys and Alexander are going to head off for just a moment. Ellie, how do you bring this issue up with your wonderful Terry and even Dracolich Sapphire Scale?
So, how do you feel about a collaboration?
I'm listening.
The patrol has a magic-based transportation network, but we were never able to get a proper source of energy for it. If we can restart the network and bleed off a lot of this energy, that would help both of us, I think.
Terry thinks and goes, and we do actually have an agreement now with the undead that if we do start harvesting more energy, we have an upper limit. So we could continuously power your system at the same time.
Kethlin actually raises a hand and says, on that point, actually,
Yes?
there's such a thing as a gate spell. They're rather expensive to cast, and they're very, very high level. If we could reverse engineer a permanent gateway, then maybe it wouldn't need a consistent source of magical energy to remain to sustain itself. Plus, that would probably take the edge off of our current energy overload.
For the patrol, I can see this being a good idea. For us, we only really need it once or twice. After all, we're just getting our friends and family back.
Then we could use the opportunity to bring your friends and family back as the test run, as it were. And then if that works, then we know that we have the right strategy for everything else.
I think we can do this.
Kethlin steps forward up in front of Ellie and says, I would like to offer my services as a bit of a consultant. I've been working with magic for rather a long time, and I've been following these people for rather a long time, and I've even gotten used to siphoning magic energy from their crystals, even if not at this particular scale. So maybe I can serve as something of an expert in this case? Me and my mother.
Ellie reaches behind her cloak and grabs a very large binder labeled, Wow, I do have to carry a lot of paperwork, don't I?
Another fireball goes off from the sky.
Nobody responds. It's just like this is every 5 minutes for them.
And pulls out two applications and hands them to Kathleen and says, I think these should be all I need for you to fill out.
Kethlin takes one, hands another one to Githa, and they both scurry off in order to fill out a bit of paperwork. Uh, Terry, it looks like for the immediate future, things are going to be rather better than Ert suspects for the crystals. Ellie, you suspect that things should probably get underway like now, probably like yesterday, in fact. Emrys and Alexander are returning, and according to Emrys, they're sending over their experts as soon as they can. It's a bit of a trip, though.
Okay.
What on earth are we going to do with all of these, though?
Bubbles announces that she's been informed the price is now actually 6G.
That's the part where Terry's standing next to Ellie. Ellie asks what we're gonna do with all these, and Terry just going, I haven't a clue either. As he says, you can tell that he had been thinking about this for a long time, and it does definitely stress him out to have all of this here.
Zann yells in the back, I'm working on it. Fires another fireball.
Terry. We are not going to use them for a personal fireworks show anymore. Stop it.
Make me. Fires another firework.
Is trying to convince Toad to convince Zan that we are all going to die.
Meanwhile, Toad points out that the giant pile of fireball runes is probably an OSHA violation.
Yes, but point at the turtle. The turtle.
Why
Toad,
the turtle?
The
because
turtle with the giant crystal sticking out of it? Yeah.
Terry's thinking about this and thinking out loud too, just like we should probably make those crystals permanent fixtures now instead of on top of living beings.
Grabs Toad and says, OSHA, do it!
Toad bops Ert on the head and goes over to consult with Terry on his own. Oh boy.
Oh, hello, Toad.
It's gonna be a better way to store these things.
Has Toad eaten enough minds to just speak in perfect, coherent sentences now?
Oh yes, it's just that he doesn't always because it's funnier. So, Toad approaches, and Toad says, Ert thinks we're all gonna die.
Terry going, yes, we're working on that.
Toad frowns a little bit, looks up to Ellie and says, Hi, miss.
Hello.
Do you need help?
Terry's going to say, yes, we do actually. Toad, do you have an idea on how we can handle all of these runes?
Toad thinks on this for a minute, and then says, Hand over to proper authority?
You can see on Terry's face he's thinking very hard about whether or not he wants to give Asshole
Mm.
Patrol this many runes of Fireball.
Zann definitely already has like 100 of his own stored away somewhere.
Look,
Uh,
this is just the stuff that's not inside bags of holding.
Uncle says that he could take a few of them off your hands.
Let's distribute the bombs to every nation. That's a great idea.
No, don't be silly. Uncle's not a part of any real nation.
Bubbles casually informs you of 3 or 4 other literal nations that were just here.
Honestly, I think Uncle would have grabbed a whole collection for himself without anyone looking, anyways.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
but that's why he keeps on asking for just one. Oh,
yes.
just one.
But in any case, Uncle is, of course, taking this opportunity to speak up for his own organization and say that he could help distribute a few of them to good causes.
I could just shoot a fireball at the fireball runes and see what happens.
How much does Ellie trust that? Because at this point, Ellie is the one with the most authority in this area.
So, Ellie, it is going to be your choice. What the hell do you do with over 1,000 fireball runes?
Because if Ellie thinks that handing them all over to the Asshole Patrol to figure out what to do with them, Terry will do it. Granted, you let him keep a small storage for, the town guard. He's not asking for hundreds. He's asking for maybe like a couple dozen.
Numbers, check your messages.
One moment. All right. Sorry, guys, just a moment. Got to answer a couple of questions. Ellie is being thrown into the deep end in a whole lot of senses.
Mhm.
I think I can convince people in AP to buy these for 6G.
It would help at least with this town since Zann is keeping all the money for us to get some funding.
Emrys looks at the giant pile, looks over to Ellie, and says, We might be able to swing it out of our budget, but we'd probably get a lot of funny looks from our leadership.
I've talked to somebody. We have a use for them.
Emrys gives a nod and says, Then I'm authorized to make an offer right here and now. She steps up to Terry and says, The current market value is 6 gold pieces per rune.
Mm. Terry looks to the side and is just like, I guess so. They keep it just Terry has no idea why they keep changing the price, but he's just gonna go 6. That's the highest we've had it so far. Yeah, let's go with that.
Out of
Then
character, the answer is greed.
Then Emrys gives a nod and says, Then we are prepared to offer you the sufficient gold for the entire stockpile that you have here. It will take about half a day in order for the gold to get here and for the runes to be carted away, but if you are willing to dedicate them all to that, then I don't see any reason to object.
Seems fair enough to me.
Very good.
Right, now that the gigantic explosive pile has been sorted as to what to do with it, and we have an idea on what to do with the energy crystals, I think it would be a really good idea if we did everything in our power to make this go as quickly as possible, because every moment I'm here makes me feel like this place is going to be blasted off the face of the earth.
Terry just fair enough. He's not gonna say it out loud, but he's honestly surprised you're not here for Ert.
Speaking of which, Ellie gets a ping on her phone and has to check it.
Hey, so where's Art again?
Terry just out loud goes, and there it is. Last I saw, I think he was over by Zann.
Welcome to the beach party.
It's really more of a castle keep party, but honestly, it's mostly about vibe when it comes to that.
Ert, Ert is just gonna. He either needs a drink or he's leaving.
I'm gonna say Terry's staying behind, so if Ellie wants to talk to like Zann or try to talk to Ert.
And the worst problem is Zan's not letting Ert have a drink.
I would imagine that Zan is specifically making it so that Ert cannot have any of the alcohol, just out of spite.
Zan is giving Ert an apple, non-alcoholic apple.
Every time I look at fan, there's more things added on top of the sprite. I love that.
Zan looks over to Ellie and is like, "Hey, you coming to party?"
Maybe
Wa-
later.
Waffle offers you a kebab.
Ellie takes the kebab, puts it behind the cloak, and it seems to disappear.
Inventories, man.
Waffle, what do we say?
You're welcome.
No.
Uh,
What do we say? Come on, that'll be 6G.
No,
No, not for Ellie. Zan likes Ellie. Ellie doesn't have to pay. Now, if Emrys or Alexander want some, yeah, they got to pay up.
Ah, yes, the Cyclops with a huge appetite has to pay.
of course. That's Zan's secondary meal ticket, right after bureaucracide.
I turn to Alexander and say, I'll share.
Alexander gives a nod, looking relieved. He does seem like he really wants something to eat.
I'll just hand him the kebab now.
Alexander takes the kebab and eats it graciously.
That's
So,
cheating.
I know, right? So, in the meantime, uh, Ellie, you suspect that it might be a good idea to get Ert out of the line of fire because events are going to take place soon. Maybe best to get him into a nice meeting spot where there will be a minimum of collateral damage.
Hey, Ert, how do you feel about safety for yourself in general? Like, this isn't a threat. This is an actual genuine question.
Ert just wheels on Ellie abruptly. We are going to die.
You mean because of the Christus?
Yes.
Ellie and Ert can also see that the reactions in the crystals are stabilizing again. Sapphire Scale is just putting in so much effort over there, like you have no idea.
Ert just looks at Ellie. One of these rounds, that guy's gonna roll a one, and that kobold is gonna pop like a balloon. Anyway, I'm out of here. And he just walks over the fireball rune pile. He doesn't go around it, he walks over it.
I'm imagining that Ellie is going to stop him.
I would like to, yes.
Don't worry,
So,
it's totally normal to stop Ert to go where he wants to go.
Farron, stop that.
what?
Farron, stop that. Nobody thinks that's funny.
Farron, what is Farron doing? Oh,
Hot dog head. All right, so
What an odd unicorn.
You are not a unicorn.
okay, I fixed
That
it.
was racist.
I fixed it. He's holding it now.
okay, so Ellie, you suspect that it would be an excellent idea to bring Ert into a nice big open space that has been cleared out, and it looks like people are just exiting the meal hall up in the northeast. So Ellie, would you like to take the DM's blatant hint and take Ert over there?
Yes.
And here is an even more blatant question. Is anyone else going to get involved with this whole situation going on with Ert? Would Terry care, or would Terry leave Ert to the Ert devices?
Terry just wants to know what Ellie plans on doing.
Would Ellie answer that question?
Or is it better that he has plausible deniability?
It may be better. But, but well, let me put it this way. Christopher's angry.
Oh, the have you not been writing in your book?
I have written in that damn book literally every day.
Ellie suspects that is the problem.
Mm.
It's just Terry, just about what they actually asked for, or literally anything that came to your mind.
I mean, I had to keep my notes somewhere.
Oh no.
Oh, that makes sense.
Terry just right. All right.
And it
Looks
had
to Ellie.
infinite pages. So, it was pretty nice.
Terry just looks to Ellie and goes, "I'd rather have plausible deniability on what's about to happen next. Have
Honestly,
fun."
my last entrance was just we're all going to
Right?
die over and over again.
Yeah, we've heard that one a lot.
Yeah.
Let me see that book for a
Also,
second.
did you know that catnap runes can't replace actual sleep?
Wait, that's a
Also,
spell.
yes, that is a spell in 5th edition.
You make a calming gesture, and up to 3 willing creatures of your choice that you can see within range fall unconscious for the spell's duration. The spell ends when yada yada yada, full rest in the duration of a short rest.
Huh.
Yeah, so you can cram 8 hours of sleep into 1 hour.
Ert's been eating them.
So,
You get
Ellie,
more juice out of them that way.
so it looks like Terry is not involving himself immediately, and Zann could not give less of a shit what happens to Ert. Is that accurate?
Zann will use his passive perception to keep tabs on it just in case, but he's not going to actively do anything.
Are you going to send one of the CRT even
Terry is
Arnold?
currently waiting and preparing for the arrival of the other spellcasters that are coming to help.
Indeed.
We'll
Uh-huh.
have Zara will stand just casually outside the door of where they're going to be meeting,
Okay.
Okay.
and he'll relay things to Zann through the earring.
So, Ellie, Emrys, and Alexander take Ert into this big old meal hall. Oh god, Ert also has the fucking vowel first name. All right. So they are all taken into this meal hall, and as all this is happening, there is the sound of a helicopter approaching.
If that's
I
Crystal.
forgot those were in this world.
Hmm. So, is anyone going to specifically react to the helicopter, or is everyone just going to ignore it and let the Festival delegation do what they do?
Where is it landing?
It appears to be going for one of the empty rooftops on the castle.
Is it affecting my umbrellas and my party? Is it blowing air over me?
No, it is not.
Okay, then Zan ignores it.
All right, and Terry, I take it that you're going to ignore it as well, or tell every one of the soldiers not to shoot it down with a fireball.
Well, Zan fires another fireball into the air.
You fire another fireball into the air, and the fireball seems to be counterspelled and fizzles.
Boo! Let me enjoy my fireworks.
Like is your immediate response to just unload the whole fireball rune and see if they can do it?
He'll fire two more in different
Like like
directions.
like send one of your minions off to go grab more fireball runes. We'll see who
I
runs
Yeah,
out first.
Terry's telling everybody to just knock it off,
oh fine.
including Zan.
Yeah.
I like to imagine all the soldiers like, "Oh wow, that looked cool."
Do it again.
You see a little splash effect when it disappeared? Everyone runs over to the fireball pile.
Okay, so helicopter is coming in, and I'm going to say, for convenience's sake, that it lands on the roof of this particular region, and the Festivan delegation begins marching down. Ellie, would you actually make efforts in order to direct them downward, like to your current location?
Yeah.
Okay, so a whole collection of people start marching on down. Just one moment, please. Just got to delete something. And there are a couple of familiar faces among the crowd. In fact, there's one person that Ert kind of tried to kill once. Remember Unit Row, right?
Hmm.
Oh
Do you
yeah,
think?
you.
Oh boy! So they all march on into the meal hall. Just put
Rose the
that.
one who gave me the book though.
Yes.
Yes, he is the one who gave you the book.
Also, can
So
you hide the helicopter? I cannot take this conversation seriously while the helicopter's on screen.
you know what? They'll have it take off again. Fine. Jeez.
Zan fires another firebolt.
Well, I'm sorry. It looks like something I would have bought for GI Joe.
I know, right? So all these guys are here, and they are all here for some words with Ert.
Oh boy.
And There appears to be one person who's just kind of hanging back. It's a halfling who just kind of gives an awkward wave.
Words with Art is my favorite sitcom.
Also, why did we get dragged here? Okay, I'm here. Also, they're here. Or just suddenly points at unit row. It's like,
Unit,
hey, look, guy, your book sucks.
Unit Row steps forward and says, "That is an interesting stance to have. The book has caused quite a lot of controversy within Frestiva, and a lot of collateral damage, you might say. Parts
Yeah,
of it
yeah,
were
yeah, yeah. But you could have added a search feature, and you didn't.
we were trying to make a repository for knowledge that was accessible. A search
And what
feature.
sort of repository doesn't have a search feature?
That's actually a valid point.
Unit Row looks like he does not have the capacity for a headache, and yet he has a headache.
Poor Ro.
That's actually a super valid question, though, to be honest.
Anyway, are you guys here to help with the explosion?
We are here to discuss certain legal issues that you are mired in, Ert.
Like the explosion?
We are here to discuss the flagrant loss of life, property damage, civil unrest, and whatnot that has been happening in Frestiva as a direct result of your reckless actions.
What?
People in Frestiva have been dying because of Ert?
Yes. You know that notebook? You know how
Yeah, you gave me it.
Unit Row states the notebook, rather the information in the notebook, has been causing some technological pushes within Frestiva, and not all of those technological pushes have been good. In fact, there have been some social movements started by people who think that specifically undead and constructs are a drain on society, and we'd be better off converted into magical energy by harvesting their souls.
Oh boy.
Ert looks up, is like, no, that's stupid.
Unit Row seems a bit surprised.
Think of how many goblins the average zombie could kill. Sorry, not goblins, slimes. Slimes. I said slimes. Think of how many slimes the average zombie could kill.
And at that moment, this particular halfling scurries around and says, Ert,
What up?
I have been assigned to be your media consultant for this. Not quite defense attorney, but,
Sorry, my what?
defense attorney. You know, the
No,
person
the
who
other
keeps
thing.
media consultant.
Sorry, I already got one.
Um, well, you do have one specifically from Frestiva, and I'm it.
Okay, you'll need to talk with my main consultant. Bubbles,
Oh no.
Unit Row throws up his hands and says, "We are not allowing bubbles inside of this chamber."
you don't even know Bubbles.
Unit Row looks to Ert and says, "We have seen your notes about her."
Yeah, Earth just like, oh shit, people actually read that?
Yes. Now, Unit Row gestures you to a seat and says, "Sit there, and we will begin a formal discussion." Ellie, it occurs to you that you suddenly want to be a decent distance away, but not too far.
Ert is gonna sit against the turkey leg pile. Uses it like a throne.
The turkey leg pile is significantly smaller than usual because Terry and Zann have adamantly opposed more turkey leg runes.
Correct.
That's why he's been doing Fireball. You should have seen all the other things he did before he settled on Fireball. The mayonnaise oil spill in the lake is, yeah.
All right. So, as everyone gets seated, there's a round of introductions. There is Unit Row, who you know, of course. There is Tech Mogul Esson, who is responsible for a lot of the, tech progress that has been happening in the city and trying to keep it in an actually societally productive mode. There's High Alchemist Larkin, who you also met at the previous diplomatic delegation. He is here in order to make sure that things do not react explosively, and he has been side-eyeing those soul crystals the entire goddamn time. There's Architect Ivan, who is there for the well-being of the city. There is June, a dragonborn who does not introduce himself very much, but says that he has an interest in proceedings. And then there is Prosecutor Carrick, who is here to nail Ert to the wall.
And Ert's only defense is a little halfling.
Indeed. And
Defense is a
so
strong word.
Umon here.
Ert still has no grasp of what they're talking about.
Umon is sitting there just like looking absolutely nervous, just scared out of her mind. Ellie, I want you, if you have your character sheet handy, to roll a perception check.
I do have it handy.
This is gonna do so much for the halfling's career. Like, just not getting dragged down with Ert is going to like just skyrocket the career path.
I accidentally rolled using the sheet itself. Should I roll in the D20 instead?
Please do, and remember to give yourself advantage because canonically your familiar is on scene with you, but he's just, trying to stay away from the fireballs.
Okay.
Ellie?
Exactly on par with reliable talent.
Okay, so, Ellie, you hear a distant noise. It sounds a bit like an engine. You have a sudden instinct to hide under a table.
I turn to the other two and say, as quietly and discreetly as possible, get under a table.
Is
Neither of
Zann?
them blink at this. Zann, you may roll me a perception check.
Yeah, this would actually cause Zann to be concerned, potentially, depending on what it is. Perception. Boop. Same roll.
Okay, Zann, you also hear what sounds like a distant motor, but
From where?
it's weirdly high pitched. It seems to be coming from the south, and it seems to be getting louder very, very quickly.
Zann will hesitantly put down his drink and his burger and fly up in the air a good 60 feet and see what he sees.
And Zann, you witness as a set of lights comes screaming from the distance. It does not seem to be on a collision course with you. It seems to be on a collision course with Ert.
That's a building.
Yes.
So it's going through our building.
Yes. It looks like it is headed that direction. Does Zann do anything?
Zann fireballs the fuck out of it.
That's probably not a good idea.
It doesn't matter. It's not going to go through our base without Zann. Zann doesn't want his castle walls to get destroyed. He's just going to shoot a fireball at it and tell it, and then wait to see what happens.
Okay, you shoot a fireball at it. The fireball explodes. It does not seem to change the course or momentum of the vehicle at all.
Does it seem to damage it?
Strangely, no.
Zann looks down to Terry and says, "What's up with this fucking thing?"
Terry, whatever the hell is up with it, you want no part of this.
Harry, just the castle can get fixed. Open the gates.
Does Zann help open the gates? Because that might change a little bit of the trajectory.
Does Zann help open the gates?
Yes.
Zann stays in the air and watches the thing. Well, wait, help change the trajectory of where it's going. It's going to go through the gate and not through the wall.
You will see. The question is whether you wanted to help open the gate, and you did not. Terry gives
Just
you.
open the gate and clear the courtyard.
The goblins are the ones at the gate. Zann's in the air.
So the courtyard is very quickly cleared. Everybody has learned to take Terry's word seriously. The goblins desperately try to open the gate. Let's see how they do.
Harry will assist.
Okay, that'll give them advantage. They actually managed to get it open in time. The set of lights immediately swerves, and then I will show you precisely what happens in just a moment.
Oh boy.
So, there is a vehicle coming toward you at a speed best described as terrifying. It hits the drawbridge. It goes at incredible speed through the gates. There are some parts of the gates that were not entirely out of the line of fire. They were atomized. It goes under Zann. It does a jackknife in the middle of the courtyard, screeching on two of its tires. And then it does another jackknife, and it seems to be heading directly for the fucking delegation as it explodes through the wall and it absolutely sideswipes every single delegate and smashes them all out of the room in a frantic tumble.
What the hell is happening?
I have no idea.
I have no clue.
Or it's like, I have no idea.
There appears to be another robot now seated at the table. He is vibrating and wearing an incredibly cheesy judge's wig.
So the rest of the delegation are dead?
No, they have just been slammed out of the wall. They had enough hit points to tank the damage.
Ah, I see. It's turned into kangaroo court.
Exactly.
I tell Alexander and Emrys to help the delegation.
All right, Alexander and Emrys go off to help the delegation.
For the record, has not slept in a week and a half. He watched all of this happen and he did not blink.
I thought he was like slowly blinking, but like one at a time while he was
Yes.
wide.
He can't do them at the same time.
Oh
It
boy.
takes too much effort.
So Mike is now seated at the table, and he says in a perfectly flat tone that is somehow still vibrating with emotion, "I will now preside over this court case. I am Judge Mike. You will explain your actions to me now." And Uman grabs Urt, drags him under the table, and gives him a frantic consultation. This is Mike. He's one of the head troubleshooters in Frestiva, and he has not been having a good day as of late because all the anti-construct and anti-undead sentiments directly affected him and his adoptive daughter, and he has been going around the city in a mad trance, finding all the political groups that are even slightly in favor of this soul magic stuff and slamming them with his car.
Isn't that illegal?
Technically, no.
Zann, you have no idea how reasonable the last 10 minutes have made you seem.
Vehicular
mean-
manslaughter in Festival is probably just a misdemeanor.
Well, then what's the problem with the manslaughter of their constructs then? I mean, it seems really their whole legal system seems incredibly hypocritical and one-sided.
Well, Uman has given Urt all the advice that she can. She sits back up and says, Urt, what is the purpose of this technology, this soul harvesting magic?
Oh, yeah. So it's pretty simple. You know when shit dies, you get stronger?
Mike looks to you and gives a nod.
We
His-
figured out how to put that shit in crystals and use it for magic. But if you put too much of it together, bad shit happens.
Mike says, once again, his voice trembling, what kind of bad shit?
Nah. I mean, you know how the world doesn't have magic? Now it does.
The world did have access to limited forms of magical energy.
Yeah, but limits are for like people who don't understand how to go past them. Or is just staring at the skies like you're a robot and you don't get this.
The robot leans a bit forward and says, the issue of collateral damage is one that is very important. If there are people who can be rendered into soul magic in order to improve the lives of others, that is a form of genocide.
Well, yeah. That's why you typically use slimes.
There are intelligent slimes.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean.
Do you condone the use of intelligent creatures to fuel magic energy production? Is this something that you feel is right?
Oh, it's wildly ineffective.
Uman is like frantically like grabbing at Ert's leg, gesturing him to be careful.
Nah. Soul magic is just the whole XP system, except you get to see the crystal. That's it. I just make it so you can see the crystal. And it's awesome.
How many madcaps are in this group?
Technically one. Ert is not technically a madcap. He just knows some technical jargon.
The thing is, Ert is not exactly a madcap. He knows just enough to be like he is one bad sentence away from becoming one.
But Urchel's standpoint is that, this is absolutely nothing different from the natural EXP system, except we slipped a crystal between it. Nothing we do, except for slipping the crystal between it, is, inherently different.
So, Mike leans a bit forward and says, "Did you know that there are social movements in Frestava that see violence as a sort of rite of passage in order to gain personal influence and success?"
Oh god, you do not want to even know about the dwarf's rite of passage.
There
That
are
shit is fucked up.
there are people who are trying to commodify this technology and make it into something of a living where they cause the death of others in order to fuel their own magical energy and pursuits with magical energy.
Isn't that what people have been doing forever anyway?
Yeah. And anyway, we already got those. Those are Vampiro Fighters. Fissers? Vampirifissers. Those guys. They're nuts.
Do you
Also,
intend?
undead in
Okay.
general. Undead in general are also fueled by taking life from other people and then you fueling their magic with it.
I mean, you have a lot of opinions back there, Zan.
Yeah, Zan's kind of like poking his head in a little bit. Like he's upset about the car
The
thing.
Yeah, the
And he's
car the
listening to
car
this
thing is unheard of.
he's really ticked off about the car thing, and he's listening to Mike be absolutely fucking stupid. It's like, what do you mean? All your arguments are nonsense.
Mike turns his head towards Zann. His neck does not move. It's just apparently on some sort of rotor. And he says, "Would you like to be part of the proceedings?" Uman is just like frantically waving her arms. No, no, no.
Define part of as a defendant or as like a person that is discussing how dumb your arguments are.
"If you would like to be part of the judicial process," says Mike, "you are welcome to sit down next to me and help with prosecution. If you intend to defend this sort of behavior and this technology, you are welcome to sit next to Ert."
Actually, no, no, no. This is perfect, Zan.
Is there a third person? Is there a third party that thinks that you're both stupid?
No, no, no. You should sit on the prosecution and explain why it's an entirely different set of crimes or it should be held for.
Zan doesn't really want to accuse Erd of anything. Zan just wants to Mike to realize that this is literally the same thing that everyone else has been doing forever.
The biggest problem is that it's been a very hot political topic in Trustava.
Oh, hell yes.
Sentient constructs used to be slaves.
The question, this is just sort of, out of the blue. Sorry. I know you guys were talking, but yeah. What's the Festival death toll been?
Mike looks over to Ert and says, "The current death toll is at 15,000 lives at last report."
Oh, sorry, I'm not supposed to laugh. Anyway, anyone know what the Empire death toll is?
Mike seemingly reaches into a sort of pouch buckled to his leg and pulls out a bunch of news reports. Most of them about the Empire and how the Empire has apparently hit some sort of critical mass and seems to be exploding with crystal magic.
Or just nods like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But the numbers.
Mike taps an estimated number, which appears to be in the about 1,000. It is estimated that all the dwarves too stupid to escape are still in there as well, but those aren't counted as people.
Bird is just boggling because he had been anticipating a death toll of something like 5 to 6 million.
There aren't that many people on the fucking Empire.
It's a mega city powered by slimes. Yes, there are.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Erd expected like 7 to 8 times the number of people dead in the Empire easily. And so he's like, okay,
Luckily, some people are not the dwarves of the Empire and are smart enough to get the hell out of Dodge now that all of the leadership is dead.
Mike in particular says, "Due to unforeseen events, There were apparently people in leadership positions who organized the evacuation of many people who were not directly involved with the conflict or with the soul magic. There is rumors of someone from Supply arranging many trips off of the island.
Oh,
Terry has to remember to get his two internal informants a nice cushy home here in town.
Indeed.
Ert. So for the record, Ert has spent like the last week utterly sure everyone on the Empire is dead.
But, it just turns out to be all of his family.
Yep, that's honestly it's a relief. Those guys were crazy. Ert's like my entire family is dead. Oh, thank God.
You make it sound like Urt considers himself to be the least problematic dwarf in this situation.
Yeah.
Accurate. Yes, correct.
Yeah, Terry still personally doesn't believe that he is the most sane out of the Empire dwarves, but he doesn't argue it anymore.
Oh, Mike would like to bring things back around to the current issue. Mike says you were expecting a larger death toll from this particular branch of science.
Oh yeah. I mean, remember the death toll when gunpowder was a thing? Oh God, and the death toll when vehicles became a thing. That was a great one.
You know what, Ert? Just for that, I'm going to have you roll persuasion with advantage.
I am using science here.
It's a legit argument. This is a legitimate argument.
One second, I didn't have my sheet open.
It's okay, because there's many other crimes that Urt can go to jail for.
I really don't. I like as somebody who really wouldn't care. Like Zann doesn't care, but Zann also doesn't like think Urt has done anything worse than anyone else in the regiment or anyone else on the continent for that matter. Like it all feels pretty normal.
Well, you weren't in Frestiva.
Well, Urt didn't cause that. It's the people that misinterpreted what Urt said that caused it. That's like saying that Albert Einstein should be responsible for the people who dropped the bombs on
Look,
Japan.
just because I published detailed instructions for how to make your own home fireball kit and distributed them to all kids between ages 3 and 5 based on viewing activity.
You didn't know. You just wrote it in a
Just
book.
because
No,
just
that's what this
because
guy
he's
did.
just
The little
because
gnome
he's
next
the
to me.
inventor of the 1950s build your own mini nuclear reactor science kit doesn't mean he's at fault for all those children who got irradiated.
The
Yeah,
only
yeah. I
people
mean,
that
regulations got to be written, and regulations are written on bodies, and so I'm helping make the bodies. Wait, Chet, don't forget that last part.
What's happening?
All right, Ert, are you actually going to roll that persuasion, or would you like me to roll it for you?
with advantage, he said.
17.
With advantage. So,
Yeah, let's stick with that 17.
Still really good.
Mike says,
Oh, that was
uh,
perception. My bad.
No, that
oh,
was persuasion.
That was
the first
persuasion,
one was
perception.
persuasion, the second
Yeah.
was perception. So, Mike says slowly, there is always an inherent danger to new technology, but if you were aware of the possible consequences, you could have handled things in a less destructive way. There are reports that you freely handed out rune magic to everyone as a quote unquote humanitarian effort.
No,
Yeah.
that was Bubbles.
Yeah, you know the turkey
That
thing?
was Bubbles.
Yeah, so instead of doing the whole gross thing where you grow crops out of the ground, turns out you could just have this pen full of 100 slimes, and that turns into 100 runes of summon turkey leg.
So, your argument would seem to suggest that you believe that these rune summoned sustenances, he gestures over towards the pile of turkey legs, are an inherently better way of life than our current way of life.
Well, I mean, it's healthier, I guess. The kebabs are sort of shit.
Mike seems to consider, and then says, your actions were directly responsible for many people seeking to enhance their quality of living by causing direct harm to others.
Or just like, I have no responsibility for Zann's behavior.
You know what? I'm going to have you roll another persuasion with advantage.
Oh, am I about to get pulled in?
No.
Mike says firmly, "We are keeping the discussion to your actions. You were the one who distributed a large amount of knowledge, not only to Frestava in the book, which admittedly was not properly secured, but also within other circumstances, such as the Wizard's Watering Hole, where you showed many people with a vested interest in keeping their imagined power how to do so at others' expense."
Or is just gonna sort of rub his face and be like, "Oh God, I understood like 3 words of that." And he just looks at the guys like, "You're about. Do you like math?
I am capable of performing mathematics.
Yeah, 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 but do you like it?
Mike looks to you coolly and says, "I am capable. What are you thrusting at?"
Like if you discovered a new type of math, yeah?
If I discovered a new type of math that was more efficient,
No, no, no. Entire new boundaries, you know? We discovered negative numbers like that. So like negative numbers. Anyway, it doesn't matter what it's called. The point is that if you discovered a new branch of mathematics, would you keep that to yourself or would you spread it around so everyone can know about it?
it would depend on what the utility of the particular branch of mathematics is.
Inside check.
Or just boggles at this guy is like, uh, or just looks at the halfling. Do you guys have religions?
Uman nods and says, "Yes, there are quite a few religions.
What's the learning religion?
Uh, Sigianism, it's not always a very
Yeah,
popular
what's the
religion,
science? Is it the science one? Is it science or learning?
more or less. It's science and learning and discovery.
Okay, teach me how to say that again.
Sigianism.
Okay, Sigianism. Or looks at Mike. I plead religious persecution.
Mike seems to lean forward a bit more. It is notable that he is not even sitting on his chair anymore. Zann can clearly see this and says, "You believe this to be something that is to be held in higher powers, do you?"
Or just it's like, no, 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 no. You see, you get to choose like how you run your life and blame it on a god.
You intend to absolve responsibility onto a god?
Or just like, oh, I you know, why is everyone moving away from me?
No reason. Don't worry about it. In character, by the way.
There's a reason why Terry decided to just not be a part of this.
Or just gonna plead the first.
You are finished making your arguments then?
No, I'm just pleading the first on this one.
I thought the first was a right to free speech.
No, the first law of thermodynamics. I don't want to be converted to energy. Yeah, but
This is a legal matter. I am not
yeah,
going to perform a summary execution at this time.
no, I was talking about gods. No, anyway, like, so we don't really got gods with the dwarves. We just have like this credo where you research and spread science, and by spreading knowledge, the world gets better. Or it's sort of fishing here. He's like, what would Bubbles say?
Ert, you may roll me an insight if you wish.
Zan, please yell something at this point.
Yell something?
Oh
Like,
God, or got a natural 20 on the insight. Or it's like, what is going on in this guy's head?
What is going on in this guy's head? He has a very, very deep personal investment in this. He is a construct, and you have been told that he has an adoptive daughter that is undead, and those have been particular targets of Ert's branches of science. He is not sympathetic to the idea that it might make the world a better place. A lot of the people who tried to murder him and his daughter have used that kind of rhetoric. That is why he is getting angry about all of this.
Oh, you don't get it. Okay, let me show you.
Oh God.
Ert's gonna grab Mike, drag him outside and be like, okay, okay, okay.
Mike,
Man, where's Orby?
God.
Literally right here.
This is Orbert.
Members Alexander, how are the delegation?
The delegation appears to be in a bit of an argument with itself because June is insisting that none of them are allowed to go back into the talk unless they are willing to fight for it. And specifically, he seems to mean fight him.
Fight
Carrot,
Mike or fight him?
Zann is totally willing to fight Mike, by the way.
um, that might be a bad idea. Mike is an epic level character.
I mean, I've killed level 16 barbarians. I don't know, man. Same thing, right?
I can just imagine Zan going, I will pay you 1,000 gold just to fuck off.
So Mike takes a look at Orbert, then looks over to Ert and says, "What is your intention?"
Yeah, you know, you're a construct.
Yes.
Literally the same thing. Literally.
You are proclaiming that this is a form of sapient life that deserves respect and dignity.
No, I'm saying, you know how you're made of metal and magic and shit?
Yes.
Yeah, this is just the metal and magic shit. This is you. I just made a construct. He's glossing over the fact that he did not make Orbert. Not even slightly.
You are making the argument that these crystalline beings are a form of life in and of themselves.
No, I'm making the argument that crystal magic is the same as the discovery of making artificial bodies out of metal.
I'm just sitting here baffled at the fact that you've just implied that all sentient constructs like Mike are just objects,
No.
like the crystal.
Has Ert ever treated Tina or Katie as anything other than a full-blown individual with needs and wants and uh
Yeah, that's actually super valid.
Right. Right, like a pet.
well, yeah, because they're not sentient, duh, they have too many souls in them.
I'm just imagining like Belladon, Ezra, and Ian Lortek are the ones actually saying these rebuttals that Ert's responding to.
You know, I just yeah, the point Erd is sort of going for here is that this guy is vastly upset because everything has happened really fast. But in the grand scheme of things, the death toll compared to, say, the last 7 scientific discoveries, it's been pretty tame.
Is Ert actually going to make that particular argument right
Fuck
now?
no!
That is Ert actually showing a bit of wisdom. Good for him.
No, no. Erd is just like, look, if you want to have a chat with the crystals about whether or not their existence is ethical, you can sit down and talk to them. In the meantime, I need to get moving because this place is going to be a crater.
Mike puts his hand on top of Ert's head and says, "You are under my custody for the duration of the trial. You will go nowhere."
Oh, okay, custody over here then. And or just starts walking away towards Long Thunk and Tina.
Ert does not move.
Erd is just gonna start mold earthing and trying to push himself with that.
Ert suddenly finds that all of his mold earth runes have been confiscated.
Erd's too tired for this shit.
All aboard the railroad, Toot toot.
Are we going or not?
No.
Guys, the robot's broken.
And so Mike is going to take a minute in order to actually seem to discuss things with Orbert. Zann, are you actually interested in contributing a bit more to this quote unquote trial?
I mean, Zann and Zach think that Mike is an idiot. And
You
that
would not
he
be
has,
wrong.
okay. And that he has literally zero basis. His arguments have like no basis at all, at least like for accusing Ert. There's plenty of people to accuse, and he's not one of them.
Look,
Like the reason the information spread was because they gave him a book and told him to write information about the soul stuff in it. It's
a
their fault.
Zan, I have a suggestion for you.
Go for it.
Okay, have you ever considered the fact that we have a portal to the former empire where Earth's kin, who are, the grand masters of dwarven rune magic, are currently being subsumed into a giant crystal?
I mean, like, I thought we depowered that portal, but sure, and it's also not like
No,
they're
no, no, we're
here.
still running it. Believe me,
Okay,
we're still running it.
okay.
Earth needs somewhere to throw the excess fireball runes out.
Oh, great.
But here's my insight for you, Zan. It's like,
Uh-huh.
let's see if we can make him talk to my boss.
I mean, Ert is free to say that. Zan doesn't know Ert's boss or anything about that crap.
Okay, Zan can't offer that, look, Ert says he's a flunky.
Zan will say that Ert is not the one responsible for creating crystal magic, and Ert is also not the one responsible for crystal magic being a common topic of discussion in Frestiva. That is Frestiva's fault for giving Ert the book in the first place.
What actually has Ert invented? Ert has invented a shitty alchemy jug and,
A bag of holding that doesn't work.
yes, a bag of holding that doesn't work, and about 30 runes. That's it.
Yep.
And he mass produced an ostrich. Like, that is not much.
With that, I'm going to have Ert make one final check as Mike and Orbert have a bit of a conversation. So, Ert, I want you to roll me one final skill check of your choice as long as you can justify it as an argument that might sway Mike.
Arcana.
Yeah, Arcana and History are my best ones.
Well, the Arcana makes sense because he's talking about his inventions and stuff.
10.
Also, it would be an advantage because I'm helping, am I not?
Sure, go ahead and roll again then,
One more Arcana roll.
please.
Okay. Not nice solid 20. Looking
All
over that
right.
was it at a +7.
Mike seems to consider and then says, "You have made interesting arguments in your defense. I am not able to render a full judgment at this time." Mike's head turns back to glare directly up at Zann. If
Zan
you have
flips him off.
Mike flips you off back.
Zan adds another hand to it. Double flip off.
Extendo arm.
Or it's like, oh, they're making friends.
Mike looks back to Ert and says, "Given these circumstances, you will be relieved of your notebook. You will not be allowed to publicly publish anything more to the Frestivan populace.
Okay.
Next, you will be placed into protective custody in case of any further incidents. There will be further explorations of your responsibility for the incidents that have happened over Vigus and in Frestiva. However, it does not seem that you are directly responsible for most of the death and harm that has been caused in Frestiva."
Now, when you say protective custody, you mean like bodyguards?
No.
I don't get it.
Mike still has one of his hands on Ert's head, drags him a little bit closer, and Mike looks directly at Zann once again. "I am confiscating this individual to place him in protective custody."
Uh, Zan will call for the asshole patrol and Ellie, and like, is he allowed to do that?
Ellie, it is a bit iffy if he's technically legally allowed to do this, but he did arrive with the Frestivan delegation, and he does have legitimate concerns over the harm that was caused to Frestiva, and you suspect that you know what sort of Frestivan, protective custody he's going to be put into. Do you remember Paul, Ellie?
Vaguely, at best, unfortunately.
Oh boy.
Feel free to
Paul,
send a DM.
yes, I will send you a quick DM.
He didn't
Urch
come
is
with
glad
the
Santa's sticking up for him. Terry has
Well,
been useless, the damn elf.
Ah, right.
Zan's less sticking up for her and more sticking up for common sense.
Look,
Believe it or
the
not, Zan's a
DM
big fan of common sense.
Look,
Terry's not
every
getting
single
involved because it
action
would only
Erd
be
has
worse.
taken has involved logic in some peripheral way.
Terry was doing Ert a favor because if Terry got involved, it would have been worse for Ert.
There's no real logical reason to blame Ert for Frestiva's fuck up. Frestiva was the one that asked Ert, "Hey, write this soul crystal information in this journal." They specifically asked for information about the soul crystals and asked Ert to do it. So it's actually literally all Frestiva's fault that this is happening. Like
Yeah,
straight up.
Erd's like, I made a contract writing this thing. A contract.
Yeah, it was
Like
straight up
on
like
paper
Yeah,
and
we
but
everything.
Terry's also has to. But the idea too is that we gotta weigh the option of what probably has the worst punishments for Ert: Frestiva, a city of technology, or Asshole Patrol, the ideal of if they're an asshole, kill them.
but Ert's not an asshole. He's just kind of an idiot. Not even an idiot. He's just like he's socially awkward. He's like he's a shut in. He's like he's just not talked to enough people in his lifetime. Like that's literally all that's wrong with Ert. He's
Is
not doing it out of malice. He's just doesn't.
Ert
He's like
points at Mike and goes, "This is the 73rd person I've met.
like actually though.
I have kept count.
oh
What about the
boy.
soldiers? I don't count them."
Like
Follow-up question sent back, numbers.
Okay,
it's
one
super
moment.
crazy that Frestiva is blaming the person they told to write in this book, and they're the ones that get to control where the information from the book goes, and it slipped out. That means it's their fault, not his. He's just doing what
But
he
wasn't
signed a
it
contract
also
for.
but wasn't also the contract about a very specific sort of thing and Ert has just
Crystal
decided to
magic.
do everything?
Yeah, but they're upset about the crystal magic becoming public knowledge when they're the ones that asked Ert to write in a notebook about specifically crystal magic. And then that's the specific thing that they're upset about, which is the specific thing they asked for, which means their argument is a bunch of bullshit. It makes literally 0 sense.
Ert's just speculating that it's a really good thing it got out on the Frestiva side, because if he just been spreading it out on this side, he'd be fucked.
I mean, you did kind of do that still with the wizard's watering hole, but even so.
Yeah, well, and
But they
across
literally asked for it.
But if Ellie's asked for advice, she's going to respond, I'd actually take this and consider it a deal.
Santa
Because
look over to Ert and say, what do you wanna do?"
no. So the correct response here is for Ellie to treat her like a child and go, "You want to go to Frestiva?" Yes, I want to go to Frestiva.
you want to go to Frestiva and be and not have to deal with the consequences of your actions for the most part.
I don't want to deal with the consequences of my actions.
This would probably be your best bet.
Zann,
What?
Ellie says if I go to Frestiva, I don't have to deal with the explosion.
There's not gonna be an I mean, if that's what you want, then go for it, but there ain't gonna be an explosion.
Yeah, there is.
We fixed it. Look, points over to the stabilized crystals.
They are actually looking stable.
Well,
Ert has just stopped after making tens of thousands of fireball runes. Ert does not believe for a second those are stable anymore.
Well, I mean, your call, Ert.
and Terry and Zan are both sitting there just like, yeah, I mean, we're building teleportation gates. They're stable.
I mean, at this point, Zan just throws his hands up in the air, like, "Dude, you do what you want, homie."
Or,
Okay,
or
Earth.
just like, oh, okay.
Ert is bundled under Mike's arm, and Mike,
I'm being kidnapped, Zan. I'm being kidnapped.
I thought you wanted to go
Where are we going?
to
we are
Frestiva.
going to Frestiva.
We're going to Frestiva?
You are being placed into protective custody.
Is that like with bodyguards?
In a manner of speaking.
Deja vu.
Oh, okay.
And so, Ert and Mike are trundled into the car, and the car starts up again and then speeds off into the distance.
I like how
Zan-
Zan is just like, he seemed okay with it.
He did, but Zan still fires another fireball at the car as it's leaving because he's mad at Mike for driving through the freaking wall.
I just like the question of what happens to Tina And Katie and Lung Thunk.
Terry will take care of it all. Don't worry.
Like, Ert is absolutely certain he did not pull enough magic out of those things to prevent an explosion.
Well,
And the fact that
unfortunately,
they're not exploding raises some very serious questions about where that energy went.
well, here we are, and we're going to get into a little bit of hand waving. So, Ert is taken off to the city of Frestiva and put into protective custody. He was not summarily executed by Mike, as Mike desperately wanted to do, but he is placed into a particular environment where he can hang out with someone else who is more scientifically minded than most and willing to indulge Ert on a lot of experiences. He is put into the protective custody of what looks like a small child by the name of Paul, better known as Poros, the god of construction.
Ert points at him as like, you.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Me what?
We made crystals. You know, it kept your little shits away.
And Paul is just, oh, is that why they didn't want to go to that island?
Yeah.
Well, that explains something. Can you teach me how to build those?
Yep.
Oh, oh, great.
But you know, that there, canonically, that's why the Empire doesn't have the gods breathing down their necks.
Indeed.
The dwarves figured out how to just, make god repellent crystals.
So, in other news, Zann, you are a millionaire and you're actually on decent terms with most of the known world at present. And if there's anything that Ellie would like to say to him, any particular offers that she would make, now is the time, but you are not obligated to, Ellie. It has been kind of a lot.
I think we're good. I think that I don't exactly need to threaten Zan to not fuck up.
Yeah, no, Zan only does things when people tick Zan off.
Yeah, I was told this.
Like, what is Zan's end goal, though? He's got the money. Is he going to
Oh,
set up a mercenary empire, retire to be a glass blowing hermit?
he's definitely going to have like a little side gig as extra security at the watering hole if allowed to do so. And other than that, he'll set up a mercenary company, not an empire. He doesn't want to go too big. He's keeping it in house. He's gonna
Wait,
have the
quick question. How do you
CRT.
get to the watering hole?
Uh, I
See,
think
that's the thing. Terry still has a connection, and one of the connections he has is Abby.
And Zan asked if he could work there after being done here because he liked it there a lot.
I'm assuming a different Abby.
So, are you going to get like a permanent door there?
Yeah, one of the ideas I had was that Terry gets either a permanent door or he becomes a stop for the doors.
Wait, aren't you guys building a teleporter network?
We're
Yeah,
Yeah, but we're building a town, so it would be nice because the watering hole has its own
Just
teleportation.
sponsor a teleporter in the ghost room down there.
Nah, it's more fun if it's like an actual stop or a permanent door.
Hmm.
yeah. So Zan would want some sort of regular connection with the watering hole. He liked the food. He liked the drink. He liked the punching ghosts. But he'd
So,
probably set up a mercenary company that he ran, and the CRT would be in if they want, and they could retire if they didn't want.
And here's a question for Zan. Would Zan make any particular effort to involve the patrol in some of his mercenary gigs? Would he have a partnership with them? Would he completely ignore them? Would he try to make sure that he doesn't step on their toes? What's the deal with the patrol on that particular front?
I mean, if they hired him, then he'd probably work for him as long as the job was something that he didn't, feel vehemently against. He'd probably work for them if they hired him. He would not be as a mercenary. He is his company is 100% not what's it called when you only work for one person? What does that mean?
Exclusive?
Exclusive. He is not an exclusive company. He is a very he's equal opportunity, right? So if other people hire him, he'll work for them. But he would give as close to preferential treatment as he's willing to give to specifically Ellie because he likes Ellie. He's still on the fence about the other ones, but he likes Ellie enough. So
Glad to hear.
based
Uh,
on the based on the interaction that you weren't actually there for, back with the dog guy. That entire situation made him rather fond of Ellie.
Then in that
I
case,
may ask for context later.
Yeah, no worries.
then in that case, would Ellie make a point of sending some work Zan's direction every now and then?
If it's work the patrol knows about, it's work that nobody will get in trouble over.
Exactly.
I mean, I'd do it.
So
So does Zann make who is controlling the crystals now?
Terry probably.
Zann doesn't maintain one to power his forces.
Zan doesn't. No, Zan doesn't give a crap about. He's a monk. He doesn't need magic. He's got spirit energy.
So you were talking about expanding. What happens to the soldiers? Are they Terry's problem now?
Oh, soldiers are for Terry. They're not strong enough to be mercenaries. No, sirree, bah.
If Zan puts his mercenary group
The,
headquarters
this
in the
One
town,
second. Squadron
and
Toad is
then
giving Zann looks.
Yeah, too bad.
It's like we saved you.
if Zan puts his headquarters in the town that Terry's setting up here, then he wouldn't need to worry about having to maintain the crystals because Terry's going to have people taking care of the crystals.
Yeah, well, Zan's not terribly worried about the crystals because he's never been into magic crap anyway. He'd be willing to have an office in the town. Why not?
all right. And now, as for Terry, it looks like most of the responsibility for all the larger issues is coming down in your direction. Ert has been carted off, thank God. Zann is making his own mercenary company. It doesn't seem to have any interest in the logistics or the crystals. That leaves Terry and Toad and Kethlin and Uncle. And so the responsibility is going to have to be divided up somehow. Get out of here, Bubbles. No. Shoot.
No, Bubbles is showing up to inform everyone that the town budget is now 9,212 gold.
Where'd you get that from?
I mean, you can see the piles.
Oh, that's fair.
So, with that, Terry, what is your plan for the future?
Terry's main plan is getting this town set up, getting the Fae out of Ennikos and into the town.
Mhm.
Anybody else who's essentially a refugee of Ennikos at this point. Setting up the government system that's within the town because he definitely does not want to run it. Uh, at least he doesn't want to be openly running it.
Bubbles for president.
Nah, Bubbles
Bubbles
is
is like that, buckethead guy. She runs every time, and everyone's just like, "Oh, good on you for running."
Blood bucket ice cream green.
Bubbles would never make it in government politics. He does have to figure out what to do with the his college because essentially it's fallen apart and it can be remade. So he's probably going to be doing the same thing with the school. And Uncle's going to be very happy because Uncle gets a part of that.
Oh, yes.
They, I guess the right term is a cabal running things from behind the scenes. He's definitely the one pulling all the strings, but he's not really in charge after he gets somebody set up.
Well, Toad has a particular question.
What would that be?
Toad is OSHA verified. Can Toad take care of the crystals?
You know what? Yeah, we'll put Toad in charge with a small team to monitor and take care of the crystals.
And that's
Toad,
how the next big bad was created.
Someday, like 10,000 years down the line, this giant crystalline mushroom creature is going to roll in and announce that your entire society is unsafe and needs to be reformed.
but Terry will have to hire people to work under Toad that knows magic a lot more than Toad.
Hmm. So, with that, Terry is going to fade into the background, be involved with multiple events, but still, there in a manner of speaking, just never in the line of fire. Uncle is going to lead herd on getting things in the College of Whispers into a better shape, and Terry is going to be a hell of a resource for that. Toad is going to take stewardship of the crystals. That does leave the question of who's going to manage the town. And Kethlin, you think, might be a good option. She's gotten to know the soldiers who are the first citizens fairly well. Zann likes and respects her. And overall, it's not a terrible idea.
It's not. So I feel like Kethlin being the quote unquote main one in charge is a good idea. It also helps that there's now going to be an entire coven of hags sort of settling off onto the edge of town.
Oh, yes.
So yeah. Mhm.
And the last question in the air is what happens to Snowblind and Boingo?
Oh, they get to stay in town.
Under Terry's protection so they don't get murdered by Zann?
Yes.
All right. And with
Boingo
that,
gets Boingo gets to start heading the charge of like, an entire little district of artificers. And Snowblind is a kid. He gets to, just hang out, do kid things, learn to be his
So,
own
so what
person.
happens to the soldiers, though?
the
We dragged them
soldiers
across half the continent.
They're citizens.
the soldiers get to become citizens of their own city, which they have yet to name. They might literally call it just name pending.
I actually kind of like the idea
No,
of
no, no.
just
I like everyone
the town
calling it
being called
pending.
Name Pending. The town of
Well, the sign
Pending.
said name pending.
There we go. The
Oh boy.
town of Pending.
The town
Yes.
of Pending.
The town of Pending and Snowblind and Boingo will also live here as citizens alongside all the soldiers who will slowly integrate into Viking society now that they are no longer the regiment on the run.
Yay.
And with that, we are going to end off Regiment on the Run once and for all. I am going to be adjusting the world to account for your actions. Your characters might also cameo in future games. Congratulations on not pissing off Mike and getting dead.
I am absolutely terrified of whatever the heck Ert's gonna become if we ever see him again.
For the record, if Zann ever gets an opportunity to do anything bad to Mike in the future, Zann would take it. Just use that as you will. Use that knowledge as you will.
Oh,
Mike
wonderful.
is currently #1 on Zann's shit
Like
list.
Zan
Like,
will take contracts against Mike just for, as he says, funsies.
literally,
I
he thought Festival was cool. We'll talk after talking to Unit Row. After working with Mike, Mike
you
is
see
number
for
one on
me,
Zann's shit list. Straight
you
up.
see for me, I knew who Mike was because he was a player character from a campaign I was in, and everything that went on made me understand why Mike was so firm and unmoving on on the way he thinks is because the entire arc Mike had in that game was all about freeing constructs that have become sapient and had souls from literal slavery because they were already being commodified and that had only just happened and now they're being hunted for their souls.
I mean, is slavery a thing in Vegas? No.
Slavery is something that is looked down on and uh, kept very, very hush hush in Vegas because a
Okay.
lot of societies take a very dim view of it, especially the
Okay.
patrol.
Okay. Then that is reasonable.
Yeah,
But it is
slavery is something that can happen in Vegas, but it's usually once it's found out, it is quashed very quickly.
Okay. Makes sense. I seem to
So
recall there
Mike,
being like slavers in some point in our campaign, but maybe that was just bandits.
Yeah,
yeah.
just
So
goblins.
so for Mike, because he never had a chance to actually tell anybody, and I wanted to stay out of the metagaming aspect, I was like, I'm gonna keep Terry out of this. So like, if Mike ever had a chance, he probably would have mentioned that constructs were already slaves once, now they're livestock.
Everyone's livestock in this world.
uh-huh.
It's like, no, her name's Tina or Katie.
Well,
Or Bert.
But the turtle might be livestock. You
maybe.
too, Lung Thunk.
Maybe. In any case, I am going to leave things off there and formally end our wonderful gaming scenario And thank you to our guest appearance from Ellie. Sorry that things were so in over your head, but to be fair, that's probably how you'd feel in universe.
Yeah.
It's like, anyway, someone should probably deal with that pile of fireball runes. I'm just saying.
It was nice having you, Ellie.
Thank you.
All right. In that case, I wish you all a good evening and take care of yourselves. And with that, we end off Regiment on the Run. Say goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye.